have joining us on stage an inspiring person who is going to tell us a story about something very much involved in life experience. We are extremely honoured to invite onto the Author in Me stage Lady Kishwar Desai, an award-winning author, playwright and historian. As a historian, her book, we said this right, Jallianwala Bagh, 1919, The Real Story, won critical acclaim and led to exhibitions in India, UK and New Zealand at the centenary of the massacre. And she will join us now on stage to tell us all her story.
Good evening, and it's lovely to be here in London, talking to a wonderful audience, and I thank the organizers for inviting me. I am actually a writer, but what I'm going to talk about, and I've published 6 books, I'm working on the 7th and 8th right now, but what I'm going to talk about today is a little different from what you would consider storytelling, publishing, in the normal sense of the word, because I also founded 2 museums in India, which are on the partition of India. And one of them is in Amritsar. Those of you who've been to Amritsar may have heard about it because it's now it's won many awards and it's very much on the international footprint for tourists who go there in order to understand what happened during the partition. And the other one we have just set up, the second one, which is in Delhi. And it also, so they deal with all the diverse stories of what happened during partition. And I will share with you first a small video, because very much like the journey we just heard about, where people started with nothing, we also began with nothing. I just had this little dream in my head that because I'm the child of a refugee, 2 refugees actually, that I needed to do something to pay my respect to that entire generation. Some of you may know something about the partition, that more than 20 million people were uprooted overnight, both sides of the border. And it is an event which has been largely forgotten, not only in the UK, which was part of colonial history, but even in India, where it was just a small 2 paragraphs or something in history books. Most children grew up without, including myself, when I was a child, and including my children, who did not have any understanding of the terrible impact the partition had, not just the killings, but the entire narrative, which I will explain to you later. First, I'll just share a small film which shows you how we set up this museum, the 2 museums. They will give you a very quick glimpse into it. We set up a trust and how we went about it. But basically, I treat these 2 museums as part of storytelling, which we've been just talking about. And each of them, like the one in Amritsar, has 14 galleries. And each gallery I treat as a chapter of a book. It kind of pushes the narrative forward. Being an author, it was the natural format for me to set up a museum in that way. And similarly, the one in Delhi, which we've now set up, it has 8 galleries. The most recent one is the Gallery of Sindh. Most of us have forgotten that for Sindhis, it was left entirely behind in Pakistan. So a lot of Sindhis do not have access to their literature. So we have to their literature, to their culture, to their lifestyle. And that's exactly what happened with Punjabis and Bengalis as well, because it was all divided. So this small film talks about how we set up the museum largely. It will show you visuals of the 2 museums in Amritsar and in Delhi, and how it was like a people's movement. It's basically created not through the government, but through people's efforts. We reached out, and it has been done entirely through donations. So we'll just play the film. Yeah. is the museum in Amritsar. No, don't switch it off. It carries on. Yeah. Oh no, you've gone to the start. Just take it to that point. Yeah, yeah. It's actually a 5-minute thing. So. Just a little forward, yeah. Yeah, that's okay. A little forward, yeah. Oh no, it's gone to the start again. Oh. You can't take it forward. Okay, while we are just going through, I'll just stop at the point when we pick it up again. So basically, what this film talks about and what I wanted to tell you was that when I started in 2015, thinking about that we needed a partition museum, to sort of rewind a little bit, you may know about the statue of Mahatma Gandhi, which my husband and I helped to set up outside of Westminster here, in just outside Parliament, which was also done around the same time, 2014, 2015. It was also an amazing journey because we were asked to help set up the statue within 6 months. And that's when I realized that this is a possibility, that you can actually do these kind of things with the help of multiple people coming together. And that gave me the inspiration, because the Partition Museum was something I had been dreaming about for a long time. Now don't stop it, let it run. Okay, let's run. Okay, it'll just come. So I wanted you to get a glimpse of the second museum. This is done entirely, as I said, through people that we reached out to, who gave us their personal stories. The 3 things which I always say are so important, which is memories, memorabilia, which they give us, all the stuff which they carried across the border, and money, of course. It is done entirely without government support. So it is a people's museum. It's like writing an enormous book, but with multiple people putting in their inputs, you know. So just let it run. Now we come to the... This is what the building was like when we got it.
वक्त बदलना है, डरना तो बंदे यार रुकना बंदिया रे बंदिया बंदिया रे बंदिया राह पे चल बंदिया बंदिया रे बंदिया बंदिया रे बंदिया राह पे चल बंदिया रुक जा रे बंदिया ये रात जरा सी है बात समझ बंदिया कुछ देर ही बाकी है रख यकीन आँखों से बादल आज हट जाएगा चांद तेरी आँखों में बंदिया चल के आएगा
Thank you. Okay. So, thank you. That gives you a sense of what the museum is. I wanted to share this with you because this has been a very, very difficult journey. As I said, I am a writer. I'm used to difficulties. Some of my books have taken me 10 years to research and write. But to do the story of the partition, and I'm not talking about a book on the partition, which a lot of people do write and have written, and I'm sure writing even now, which is not what we do in the museum. In the museum, you get a real sense of what happened to the people because we wanted to have a space. There was no space. In 2015, when we started on this journey, there was no space anywhere in the world where partition survivors or their families or those who had been lost in the partition and their families could go and actually remember and memorialize what would have happened to them, and not only know the history, but also know the individual journey of families. So we had a huge mission in front of us. It was like a mammoth book that I was writing this time. I had to get thousands of people on board so that they could share not only their stories, but also their objects, all the things that their grandparents and their parents, because by the time we started, it was 2015, and we were going to set up this museum by 2017. You know, it was a crazy deadline. We said we have to do it, and like you narrated earlier, we had no money. We had no space. It is the only museum I know that people started building without even having a collection. We didn't have anything. We just had this dream that we are going to, or rather I had this dream that we are going to do this, and we're going to do it by the 70th anniversary of India's independence and partition. It was going to be like the Holocaust museums, which we have everywhere, so that people understand what the Jews suffered. And we wanted to know what the Indians went through. And I'm talking now about undivided India, which is both sides of the border, what people went through. So this was a very important thing that we wanted to do. But as I said, we didn't even have a space. So when we were given these marvelous buildings, they were all wrecks. Absolutely, they were ruined, and we had to start from scratch, persuading the government to at least restore it. So the government told us, okay, we'll restore it. This is the Indian government I'm talking about in Punjab, not here. And so they said, okay, we'll restore it for you, but you have to raise the money yourself. You have to do everything yourself. So like I said, I had a bit of inspiration from the fact that we had just raised £1.5 million for the Gandhi statue. And that we managed to do within 6 months and set it up as well. So I thought maybe this is a challenge, but we can reach out to people and it can actually happen. And I'm very, very pleased to say that we did meet our deadline. On the 17th of August 2017, the museum was inaugurated. And it was not just inaugurated, it was covered by world media because it was the first time anywhere in the world that this sort of an endeavor had taken place, and it was done entirely by people, by just ordinary people like myself who got together and said this needs to be memorialized. And following that, what happened was the second museum, I said, no, I have to get my head examined. I can't go through this again because this was tough enough. I did not sleep for months, and neither did the rest of my team because we had a deadline to meet. And then somebody went and saw the museum from the government again, and I fell into the same trap the second time round, where they said, we will give you this gorgeous building in Delhi, but we are not going to give you any money. You have to do it yourself. So the whole journey began again. But I think when you do, as you rightly said, when you do things with passion, and you do things that you believe in, and you do remember that what you're doing is not for yourself, you're doing it for it's a legacy project. It's for the people who are going to come after you. And it is so important to preserve those narratives and those stories and those objects. So our museum is not the museum of Rajas and Maharajas. I love it when I walk into a museum and I say, oh, look at those beautiful pearls and those necklaces and that golden throne and blah, blah. But our museum is made of just those little objects that people carried across the border. But believe me, those stories are so powerful. It could be a little box in which a little girl kept her toys. It could be the grandfather's spectacles that he was wearing when he got shot. It could be a knife that had been given, which we do have in the museum, a knife that was given to a young girl to protect herself. She was not going to use it on the perpetrators. She was going to use it to kill herself, because that's what her grandfather had said, that when you cross, and if somebody tries to rape you or attack you, you just stab yourself and that's it. So these are the narratives we have, how brutal life can be. Today, of course, we see a lot of refugee movement happening all over the world. So we do encourage people to come to the museum to understand why the world should not be divided in any form or shape. We must all live together, because you see the consequences of what happens when you come to our museum. It was not an easy museum to set up, because we had to research all over the world. I'm very grateful to the British Library and the National Archives here and everybody, because we had to, as you might know, every document that the British had before 1947 actually lies here. Most of it lies here. So we had to come here with very little money and do all our research. So it was a very difficult project. I will not say it was an easy project, but I'm very pleased that they're running well. The museum in Amritsar is now 8 years old. The one in Delhi is going to be soon 2 years old. And we've just added, as I was telling you, a gallery called The Lost Homeland of Sindh, because, you see, people often focus. That's why we've created all these galleries. When you walk through, it's like chapters of a book, as I said. Why did the partition happen is the first chapter, after which we go to the second one. What was the impact? And then we go into migration, then we go into refuge, we go into divisions, so that people can understand that it wasn't just people, the loss of life that nation suffered. It was the loss of a culture when everything gets divided. So everything, even the crockery and cutlery in what we call now the president's house, which was then the viceroy's house, got divided. The Viceroy's bodyguards got divided. The cricket team got divided. I always say we would have had a world-beating cricket team if India and Pakistan had just been one country, but even that got divided. The army got divided. The police got divided. So, you ended up with two nations with people who had grown up together, now especially during war, and we have those stories in the museum where they were facing each other in very, very difficult circumstances, because almost immediately after the partition, India and Pakistan went to war, and there were lots of other issues which came up and continue to come up. So these are two books which I have written with great difficulty with my team, and there are curated museums, obviously, but you would find in them multiple stories. And what is very good and very, reassuring for us is that we get so many school children, so many scholars, so many people from all over the world who come and take inspiration from this. And the nice thing for me always when I look back is that we started with nothing. And I think that is the important message for today, is that if you dream, just stick with it, and my books are also the same. I mean, they start with a little idea, and then it just grows and grows and then becomes a book by itself. One of them is actually being made into a film right now. But it is something which I cherish, like each author sitting in the audience out here would also understand that these are things we have to be totally committed to. You have to be committed to your subject. You have to be totally engaged in what you do. And so these two museums, I think, are testament to human resilience. And that is the other very important part of the narrative, is how many of these people who went through these harrowing circumstances of having lost everything, including my mother's family, who just came away with one small suitcase and they lost everything that they ever owned in their life, and they had to start their lives from scratch all over again. But they always said, we were lucky. At least we did not die. There were so many people who were being killed all around us. How many of you in the audience actually know the story of the partition, or who have members in your family who might have been impacted by the partition? So there are quite a few here. So I would urge you to come and see these two museums that we have set up with great difficulty in